welcome back to the channel. I'm the GCSE science teacher. In today's video, we're going to be learning about half equations for GCSE chemistry. I hope you guys find this helpful. If you do, let me know in the comments section. Feel free to give this video a thumbs up and do share it so it helps more people out there, because this topic, for some reason, students find quite tricky. And I think it's because it essentially builds on other content that you need to master, you need to understand before you can attempt this. So there's balancing equations, electrolysis, atoms and ions, and how things are created. There's a whole bunch of little topics throughout the course that build to this point. So this is a sort of triple science, higher tier, essentially a higher tier topic. It's something that if you're looking for grade 6 above, this is the sort of thing that you'll need to master and practice. So we're going to do some worked examples together today, and there'll be opportunity for you to do your own question and answer as well. So stay tuned for that. But first of all, before we even get into any of this, what exactly is a half equation? Like, genuinely, what even is that? So basically, a half equation is literally what it says. It's a chemical reaction, which you would represent as an equation, but we've split it into two. And this is generally done because it's showing the relationship between ions and what forms and what it comes from. And this is linked, like I said, to the electrolysis topic. And we associate this with something called redox reactions. So redox reactions are reduction and oxidation reactions. Now, what exactly is that? So there's a lot of jargon with science, I'm sure you've realized at this point, but in its basic fundamental terms, a redox reaction is looking at a reduction reaction and an oxidation reaction. And that just means there are substances within a chemical reaction that can gain electrons and substances that will lose electrons. So oxidation is the loss of electrons and reduction is the gain of electrons. We can use the phrase oil rig to remember this. This is particularly helpful because actually, annoyingly so, in science, oxidation and reduction actually can mean something else entirely as well. So we can have oxidation and reduction in terms of oxygen. We are not talking about that today. We're just talking about the transfer of electrons. And this is very important because it helps us as scientists determine the products that form in electrolysis, which you might be thinking, well, why is that important? Well, we can use it for extracting metals. We can determine if a substance is going to be toxic, like chlorine gas, for example. And it's just a lot of fun and it's cool. So we're going to discuss this in a bit more detail, but basically that is it in a nutshell. So hopefully that's clarified a few things. So let's get some examples going, and hopefully this will break it down a bit further and you'll see what I'm talking about. So here is an example of a half equation. Literally, this is what it would look like. So we have sodium, which is broken down into sodium ions and an electron. You can see that the sodium has lost an electron, which is why it has been oxidized into its ionic form, Na+. We only need one electron to balance the Na+, because one negative and one positive cancel each other out. So when we're looking at half equations, that's essentially what we're trying to do. We're trying to balance the equation, but we're also trying to balance it not only with the number of atoms, but also the number of electrons. And you can see the other equation, the other half to this is shown below. So you've got the reduction reaction of chlorine. So you've got Cl2 plus 2E minus goes to make 2Cl minus. And essentially that would just read as the chlorine molecule, which is broken down into the chloride ion. Remember, chlorine to chloride. That's the way we refer to it. And essentially chlorine gas has gained 2 electrons, and this is why it's become negative. Notice as well, when you're referring to your ions and your atoms, just be really mindful of charges as well, because that can get confusing. I'm going to run through a few examples of ions that you need to be aware of at GCSE. So before we move on to that, we just want to remember and to clarify, whenever you're looking at a half equation, or if you get asked to write a half equation, you want to make sure that your charges balance, which is why we add electrons to the equation. And you also want to make sure your atoms balance as well. And this is particularly important because obviously it goes with that law of conservation of mass and matter. So if there's sodium on the left, you've obviously got to have sodium on the right of the arrow as well. You can't have a sodium going to make a lead atom, because it's not a thing that can happen. It's like I say to students all the time, if I gave you ingredients to make a chocolate cake, you're not going to be able to make pasta out of it. I mean, you could try, but it's going to be really weird. So you're not going to be able to do that, which is why whatever you have on the left of the arrow, you have on the right as well. Okay. Also, just be aware of this. Diatomic atoms are a thing. So that just means that you've got two atoms that are bonded together. For example, you've got chlorine here. You've got two chlorine atoms that are bonded together in a covalent fashion. So they're non-metal, so they just bond covalently. My point is all to say, if you have group 7 elements, usually are the ones that they talk about a lot in this topic, they are diatomic. The same with oxygen as well. Oxygen is diatomic. Just be really mindful of that. Hydrogen is also diatomic. They like to go in pairs, basically. So that can catch a few students out if you're not aware of that, but just be aware now, and then also the other thing is just to be mindful of is the ion charge itself. So electrons, we know, only have a negative ion, and in this video you'll see that I refer to electron as E minus. But ions themselves, which I'm going to discuss in a second, they have specific charges. So some of them are 2 minus, some of them are 1 minus or 2 plus, and 1 plus, depending on if it's an anion or a cation. So just be aware of that. I'm going to give you some examples now. So common ions and their charges. Let's start off with negative ions. We call these anions. If you remember from my previous video about electrolysis, an anion is just a fancy name for a negative ion. Remember, an ion is a charged atom, basically, an atom that has gained or lost electrons. And we call a negative one an anion. So these are always non-metals. You can see you've got fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, etc., etc., but in their ion form. So it's actually fluoride, chloride, bromide, iodide. And then you've also got some other ones as well. So you've got the hydroxide ion, which is OH minus. You've got the nitrate ion, which is NO3 minus. The ones on the left are all just 1 minus charges. Be really careful about the nitrate ion, because obviously it's NO3. It is NO3 minus, not 3 minus, just to clarify with that one. So all the ones on the left I've grouped together. These are all 1 minus charges, and then everything on the right hand side are the 2 minus charges. So common ones at GCSE are oxide ions, so O2 minus, sulfide ions, S2 minus, carbonate ion, CO3 2 minus, and sulfate ion, SO4 2 minus. Whew, I thought I wasn't going to get through that. Try and say these out loud, you guys. These are really hard to say. We haven't even got onto the ion yet. If you know, you know, but that, for whatever reason, is so hard to say out loud, for me at least. So yeah, anyway, you basically just need to know that these are negative ions. These are the common ones. If you want to make a flashcard on it, go for it. Most of them are in group 7. They are the halogens, but some of the other ones you might not have come across before. So it's just worth being aware of them in case you do come across them as well. So you have a kind of a well-rounded understanding of what could come up. So here are the cations, the positive charges that can exist as well. So we've just looked at the negative ones. Here are positive ions, which are called cations. They are always positively charged. Basically, you guys, if you were to be asked an exam, these are some examples at GCSE. So again, on the left, we've got all the plus 1 charged ions. We've then got in the middle all the 2 plus charged ions, and then on the far right we have the 3 plus charged ions. Notice that ions, okay, they can have a 2 plus or a 3 plus charge. They will tell you though. So it's the same with copper. You can see copper and iron, they have almost like a Roman numeral in brackets. That tells you how many, what the charge is. So iron 2 is Fe2 plus, copper 2 is Cu2 plus. So that's quite helpful if you're not sure, and it's a clue for you guys if you see that in the exam. Also, another tip as well, just remember lots of these that you see, especially ones on the left, obviously, these are in group 1. The ones in the middle are in group 2 or transition metals. So this can help you out if you get stuck. Again, might be worth doing a flashcard on, especially if you're aiming for those high grades. So yeah, off you go and make one. But if you maybe if you have any of your own tips and you want to share in the community, in the comment section, feel free to do that, because it's always lovely to share ideas. You guys are actually the best at doing this. You always comment like ideas and tips for each other, and it's just so wonderful to see. So thank you in advance. Okay, so here is a worked example for you. So this is kind of like a common GCSE question they could ask you, so I'll read it to you. It says, during the electrolysis of molten lead-2 bromide, PbBr2, lead is produced at the cathode and bromine is produced at the anode. So the first thing you want to do is write the half equation for the reaction at the cathode, and then write the half equation for the reaction at the anode. There's a lot of information here, you guys, so you might want to pause it, have a read of it again. I am going to break this down step by step, so feel free to pause along if you need that. I totally get that. I'm someone who will pause and be like, wait, what did they just say? Do not worry about it. Pause it, make some notes. Feel free to ask questions if there's anything that you don't understand. This is very much an open dialogue forum, so I'm always happy to help. This anyway. So this is the sort of question. First example, let's go through it together. So as you can see on the top left, I've just written out oil rig, and I've reminded myself that a cation is a positive ion, a cathode is negatively charged electrodes, the anion is negatively charged ion, and the anode is a positively charged electrode. I will just mention, if you haven't watched my electrolysis video, I cannot stress the importance of watching that first. Or just electrolysis revision of that was really useful. I know for students, before I teach the half equation section, there's just, it makes no sense to do this first and then revise electrolysis, because it literally links to that. So I'll link it for you if you haven't seen it already, because it will help. The other thing to do when you're in the exam is exactly what I've just done here. So I've highlighted the key bits, and what you want to do at GCSE is look for clues. So these are the clues that are in the question. Molten lead-2 bromide is the key clue. It tells you that literally lead bromide is just melted. So there's nothing else except lead bromide. That is incredibly important, because you can actually get aqueous electrolysis. Also, it's given you the information. So lead is produced at the cathode, bromine is produced at the anode. Notice bromide to bromine, that's a big clue as well. So we've gone from an ion to a gas diatomic atom. All of these things are clues to help you out. One thing they could ask you in addition is they don't give you the product that forms at the anode and the cathode. You would have to work that out. So now we've got our clues, let's figure out what we need to do for each section. So what you want to do once you've got this, you want to write out the two half equations. So we know that lead bromide, the overall reaction would be lead bromide breaking down into lead and bromine. But the two equations that you need to know is what happens to the lead and what happens to the bromine to get to that point. So we know that the lead ion is creating a lead atom. So we can see in the question it says molten lead-2 bromide. So Pb is the symbol for lead. 2 plus comes from the lead-2. So that's the first clue. That's why I've written that there. And we know that it goes to make lead. So that's what I've written, as you can see in part A. And then in part B, it says at the anode, bromine is created, so Br2, from bromide. So bromide is Br1. Now, you might be like, well, I don't know what bromide is. If I didn't make a flashcard, I might not remember. Look in your periodic table, you guys, because bromine, in its ionic form, it will have a -1 charge. It's a halogen. It's in group 7, and therefore it can gain 1 electron to have a full outer shell. All of this I've covered on my channel. So if you're unsure of any of this, ionic bonding, etc., I have it all linked for you guys, so you're good to go. Anyway, this is the basic fundamental, right? I've got what is made from what is in the reaction. So once you're at this position, you can then start to balance your equation with electrons and with coefficients and everything else. So let's do that now as well. So here we go. I've just simply balanced the equation. So we'll start off with the first one, part A. Because it's Pb2 plus, we need something to cancel out that charge, because if we get rid of the 2 plus, we just have Pb on both sides. We have the lead on both sides, right? But we have 2 plus on the left and then nothing on the right. So to get rid of that 2 plus, we actually have to take that 2 plus away with 2E minus. So that's why we have 2E minus. We don't have E2 minus, it's just two lots of E minus, because remember, every electron has one negative charge. So that's why it's 2E minus and not E2 minus. And then if we look at part B, you can see that because it's a diatomic molecule that forms Br2, we have to balance the bromine on the other side, on the left. So we put a big 2 coefficient, just like we would with balancing equations. And now because we've got a 2 in front of it, that means we've got 2 minus charge on the left, which is why we have to add 2 minus to the right, which is why we have 2E minus, or 2 electrons that are added there. And that, you guys, is essentially it. So it will be one of those things where you might have to pause this, rewind it, make a flashcard step by step. But the more practice you get of this, the better. Okay, so here are the questions for you guys. Feel free to have a go. I will put the answers in the description box for you. Feel free to pause the video at this point, have a go at it, and then you can see the answers. Also, feel free to comment down in the comment section as well, because I always love hearing from you guys. But I'll read the questions to you as well. So number 1, it says molten magnesium chloride, MgCl2, is electrolyzed. Write the half equation for the reaction at the cathode and at the anode. Have a go and good luck. And that's it from me today. I've been the GCSE science teacher and you have been curious. Thank you guys so much for all your support. You guys are amazing. I really do appreciate every single one of you. And if you think this will help someone else, feel free to share it. Do like the video so I know if you would like more videos like this. Feel free to comment in the comment section. Let's just get a bit of a conversation going. If you have any video requests, etc. It's always great to hear from you. And in the meantime, have a great day and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.